everything
but I feel like it's like her everything that she did, her grabbing, like he grabbed her arm or whatever, and she like.
But he initiated that.
That's fine.
She didn't ask for that.
That's fine. But like it's the actual, like, she grabbed his hand and then and then this and that, and it's just like all of these different things that just added together to be like, that's kind of desperate. But do you think, girl? Whatever.
Nah,
I'm just saying.
I disagree. How is a man gonna ask you for a hand, and if you give the hand, you're desperate?
No,
that's wild.
Again, okay, it has everything to do with everything else.
Yeah, you're talking
in the
about context. But here's what I'm saying is the point, or here's what I'm refuting. I'm not refuting that it was obvious that she was into the dude. It was obvious. What I'm refuting is the word desperateness. Desperate is like a level of desire that is not that is like beyond normal. That is just like, I'm interested. I'm interested. I desire you in this way. Oh, I'm willing to flirt. Blah blah blah. Like, desperate is all the way over there. What I'm pushing back on is you saying that any amount of signaling that you're available or interested is desperate in and of itself.
No, I didn't say that.
That's what you said. No. Is that not what you said?
What I'm saying is that it's desperate because of the context.
No, but you said
because
earlier I said
she's doing it in front of his job at his job.
But
so like, if she was doing it with homie and they were just actually at a bar, like, that's not desperate at that point, because
but
clearly you're with this person. Be.
How? I said, what does a 30-year-old woman have to do to not be desperate? And you're like, it's gonna be desperate. That's literally what you said.
Yeah, I was gonna add to this as well. I was gonna be like, when is it a good time when older women can flirt and not be desperate? I was gonna add that too, because that was your point. Like, you made the point.
First of all, I didn't even answer that question because you didn't let me. And second of all, when I said, or whenever you asked me, what is a 30-year-old woman supposed to do to be flirty? First of all,
to not be desperate
and still be flirty and show attention like that. There's a lot of different ways that you could do that, but you don't do that at somebody's job.
Okay,
like that's my thing. Okay. Like that, everything else, again, like I said,
let's get off the fact that this woman,
if she hadn't done that and she had done that and he wasn't at his job, that's not desperate. That's just showing you're being flirty, you're paying attention.
What you said earlier.
Yes, but I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
I didn't say that.
That's what you did.
No, you didn't let me finish. That's what I'm saying. Because what I was talking to you about was exactly that. And then whenever we talked about whether or not it was a 30-year-old woman in general, you began asking me a bunch of other questions.
Right. No, because I specifically said, what is a 30-year-old plus woman supposed to do to not be desperate? And your literal answer was, it's going to be desperate.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was under the impression that we were talking about what's a 30-year-old woman supposed to do whenever they find somebody attractive like that at a bar. Well, it's going to be desperate regardless.
Right, that's what you said.
Yes, because I'm thinking you're talking about this specific, like a specific situation like this again, like if
with somebody
else when you're
I'm talking
like
about
doing
in
that.
general.
In general,
what are the things that a 30-year-old woman can do, not flirting with somebody that's currently working, to not be desperate? What would a mid 30, 40-year-old, mid 45-year-old single woman interested, wanting to flirt, wanting to be adventurous for the day or whatever?
Yeah.
What are the things that woman does in that moment that would make any other woman, maybe not a man because maybe they're not receptive, but like that would make any other woman observing say, okay, get your shit.
Yeah.
Or get your,
I think that's really difficult to
feel yourself, but that's not desperate.
I think that's a very difficult thing to say, because a lot of the times, unfortunately, when you are 30 something years old or closer to 40, you are desperate.
That's not true.
But like, because this is the thing, like a woman who isn't actually desperate wouldn't even do that.
I think you're intuition pumping. You know what that means?
No.
Intuition pumping is whenever there is a scenario and we inject our preconceived notions of that idea,
like class or like that.
It doesn't have to be like specific people. It could just be like anything.
Subgroup of like whatever.
You have an intuition about you, like you have a preconceived notion of that group, and then when you're talking about that group, you inject your preconceived notions, your intuition. Like right now, he's saying that if you're a 35-year-old woman and you're wanting to have an adventure, chances are you're desperate. That's your intuition about 35-year-olds that are single. But there's 35-year-olds that are single that are highly, highly, highly like successful, like are very comfortable with themselves.
And those women aren't doing what she was doing.
Right, but I'm not talking about. We're off that now.
Yeah, but
my hypothetical was, what does a woman have to do?
Yeah, and then like a woman who is like that wouldn't be even doing the whole flirting into the extent that
But-
people are assuming that she's going to be
But
doing.
I'm not talking about that anymore. My specific question was, what does a woman have to do, or what does a woman do in those situations to make her seem not desperate? And your answer at first was there's plenty of things, and then you didn't give any examples. And then you said, well, it's hard to imagine what that would look like because chances are a 35-year-old woman that is in that situation is desperate.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of examples, but it's hard to imagine those examples.
There is examples where women can be flirty and do all of those things because that's what women do and that's how it can be. But like I said, unfortunately, unless you are a woman who doesn't need to be that showy about it because she's highly successful, because she's, you know, all of these things that you were mentioning beforehand, a woman like that is more than likely not going to give off desperate energy because at the end of the day, she's not being desperate about it. Like she's not being super forward. She's not being super like, hey, let's do that.
And my question is, what are the behaviors that a woman
when,
would have to do to make sure that that's not, tell me what isn't desperate
so
energy.
if that were to be the scenario, if I were to see that happening, what that would generally for me would be if I'm seeing a woman and she's just minding her business, not necessarily being super self-involved on her stuff, on her phone, all these other, like maybe if she has like she's actually enjoying the moment, talking to people, even if she is talking to, you know, let's say again back to the bar scenario, let's say she's at a bar, she's talking to the people, she'd be conversing with, let's say you, just be like, hey, you know, whatever, like that's what I would be considering somebody who's not showing off desperate energy, because what they're doing is they're just having a conversation with people there. They're not actively looking to find somebody that they might find attractive at the moment, or somebody that they might be doing a little hookup thing or whatever. And I'm not saying that having or wanting a hookup is bad. All I'm saying is that I personally think that if you're going to be looking for just to be in the hookup culture and do that, and especially if you're a much older person and what you're trying to do is find that stuff, it's going to give off desperate energy because it seems like you're very like eager to find a hookup when you could just wait for it to happen. Like, you're a woman. Like, let's be real. Women don't have to do a lot for men to find you attractive and go up to you and talk to you.
Right, but I've heard about this phenomenon about hot women saying that they get less attention because men, like really hot women, saying that they get, they get attention, but they get less play when, let's say it's like a sexual interaction. Like, that happens less with them because men are too intimidated to go up to them.
Yeah, they say that.
Sure. I don't know if it's true because I am under the impression that a hot, attractive woman.
My thing is like if you're an attractive woman and you know you're an attractive woman,
mm-hmm.
and you find somebody as equally as attractive, right? Or you find them attractive or whatever. If they don't have the confidence to go up to you and be like, hey, or like, even if you're just there, like, you know, just chilling, and you're sitting at a bar with your friends or whatever, and a man comes up to you that you find just as attractive. Yeah. Because they say that, but they're not talking about the men that they find ugly. Like, those men will still go up to them, but they're like, yeah, but it's not the right people. It's like, no, you just don't like them. Like, there's a difference. And you saying that you don't get any play, I don't know how real that is, because you kind of do.
It's just alleged what they say. I can't verify.
I used to be one of those people that was like, oh my God, yeah. And then it really like, especially conversations with us, where I would be like, you would be like, is it just because he's ugly? And I would be like, oh my God, am I really being that vapid about it that I never actually sat to understand that it's not that I'm not being like pursued. I am being pursued by people, like by people who find me attractive. It's just I'm being the picky one. That's like, I don't find you attractive, so I'm not being pursued by the right amount of people. It's like, no, honey, you are.
Okay, I agree with all of that.
But kind of back to it, it's like, if a woman is attractive and she's out and about, right? And she's just enjoying her moment, doing the thing. Like, I feel like that obviously gives off not desperate, because you're not actively looking for somebody. But when you are slightly more on the desperate side and or showing more of these like these super big, like, oh, you know, hi, or whatever, like with what, even if it wasn't the bartender, even if it was just like somebody else, a girl who's clearly hitting on a guy or whatever, if the guy was interested in you, it wouldn't even look desperate anymore, because now it would just look like two people who are vibing together. But again, when you are shooting for somebody who does not find you attractive, and you keep like, let's say in a bar scenario where you see you see like 3 guys, 3 girls, they just met each other at the bar, they're talking or whatever, and you could tell when one of them likes one of them, and the other one, and they don't like him back. The guy's just gonna be like, oh yeah, like, okay, it's like, girl, catch the hint of like, I get, you know what I mean?
We're having
like,
2 different conversations.
I know, but
I agree with all of that.
What I'm saying is like, whenever a woman is like in her 30s or her 40s or whatever, and I say this being a woman because if I were to be 30 something years old, if I'm not like secure where I want to be and everything else, I would probably be more desperate to get that.
Again, that's why I'm saying intuition pumping.